Hi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to Football Talks. I am joined once again by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, what is up?
So, the New Year's upon us. Happy New Year's from the podcast to you guys. And,
Indeed.
well, it's pretty cold now, so stay safe and all that, especially if you're going to some of these games. I don't know if all of them will be balls to the walls cold. I think Jacksonville should still be because they're going to be the first city to
Yeah,
get hit by that
maybe.
winter storm.
I think Kansas City will be really cold.
Oh, that's expected.
But otherwise,
The
the
Saints play
other
in a dome.
cities, not so much.
The Rams
Yeah,
game might be the warmest, but I think it's still going to be like in the 50s.
yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah, but anyway, you might have heard what we said. The playoffs are approaching, but before we could even discuss those, we need to look back, or in this case, look to what happened yesterday. Well, for the day of our recording, this is yesterday. Black Monday, it happens every year. At least the coach or some major staff changes happen, be it at the coaching positions or scattered across the league, or even general managers, or both. Sometimes a complete breakdown of the team. But
yep.
this one was piped up as unprecedented, that a lot would be fired, but you know, as how sports media can do it sometimes, over exaggerate.
Oh yeah.
And this was no exception. There were a lot of coaches that got fired or they're gone, but not as much as people say, at least six minimum. No, we got four that were fired and one that retired, and I hate that retirement one. It makes me angry. But we'll get to that
But
one later. First, let's talk about actually, surprisingly, two coaches that are still here. If I had to give you a guess as to who, if I had asked people, who do you think's still staying? That everyone says is on the hot seat. Well, you'd probably say, oh, Jason Garrett and Bill O'Brien, the Texas coaches. Why? Because one looked really good with their star quarterback, and all they need to do is make sure to get a backup quarterback that can emulate Watson enough so their offense can stay that one style. And as for Jason Garrett, well, he kisses Jerry Jones's wrinkly ass and lets him say what he wants and let him run the team how he wants. So he's basically a second head coach.
right.
But either way, that's where those two are. So who is actually staying that should have been fired? Well, first off, Hugh Jackson is still on board. The GM has given him a grant of a reprieve and allowing him to keep his job despite going. Technically, he's 1-31 now. He is 1-31 as the Browns head coach. To be honest, at first you could say how you can't get worse than
Oh,
0-16. I mean, you could always repeat it.
oh my. Yeah. Yes, you
That would make
can.
you worse because Bill. I mean,
I mean,
what was Detroit's record after they got Stafford? It
uh,
wasn't that much
they
better.
went they went like 4-12 the following year, but
Yeah, but that was because of
we
those goddamn Browns for hurting Stafford, hitting him
we
dirty.
we never went 1-31 in 2 years. We never did that. Even in our worst years, we never went 1-31.
Yep, which that is the big news. The Browns have gone 0-16. Obviously, they have the first
Yes.
pick. They also have the Houston Texans' fourth overall pick, so, which is why
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't want to give them that. It's like I have a feeling at least one of them should be an okay pick, but maybe they'll
Right.
fuck it up. I don't know. This is the Chiefs GM, was pretty good when you consider who he's gotten for them.
Right. I mean, they did well on the defensive side of the football overall. Did the Browns, Miles Garrett turned out to be a decent pick. They have Josh Gordon back. They have
For
Corey
how
Coleman,
long?
and a lot of people in Cleveland hate Corey Coleman. I mean,
Hey, if
he
they,
dropped an easy catch, but I mean,
you know what I say to that? Fine. How about you give him to us? Cut him and let him.
here's the
I wanted
here's
him
the
in
thing.
Houston.
Here's the thing, though, is that everyone in Cleveland's gonna be calling for a quarterback, and I say don't do it. Uh, just keep going with Deshaun Kaiser. This is he got his bad year out of the way this year. You're going to have another rookie quarterback start for you to have another bad year. Is that really what you want there, Cleveland
Yeah, you don't have
fans?
the roster. to do it. I mean, and plus, none of these. There's a good chance whoever you pick may start saying at some point, it's like, if you draft me, I'm not gonna go with you.
Exactly. I mean, it's getting to that point where they're turning into what the Lions used to be looked at. Like, oh, I gotta go play for the Lions. You know.
Yeah. Yep. But the anyway, so I mean, if anything, they could with two top tier draft picks, they could go for some really good position players. Don't they? Isn't there a pretty good running back coming out of this draft, as well as
Yeah,
some?
Saquon Barkley.
There's him. And I want to say you could have further addressed the defense with linebacking and shit, but I don't know. I'm not going to care about their draft pick that well until we get to, until we're done with this season.
Which, segueing into, is halfway done with Black Monday now done.
Yeah.
And
Yep. Although some coaches can still be fired because we're going to talk about the GM situation with Houston. But I figured that's better for when we talk Houston, because that situation's nothing to do with sports, despite what some media analysts will tell you. But depending on who the GM is, they could still fire O'Brien, so he can be a latecomer to the Black Monday bandwagon. We'll see. The other coach that surprisingly stuck around was Marvin Lewis. He's got a 2-year extension. I swear to God, I thought when I saw the article, I thought that was like the sports version of the Onion Twitter. But nope, it's real. Very real.
Yup. They rewarded Marvin Lewis for defeating 2 teams and knocking them out of the playoffs with a 2-year extension. 1 year for each team that he knocked out.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, how much they're accepting mediocrity year after year, but Paul Brown is a very, very, very loyal owner.
Yeah, you know who he reminds me of, Bill? The old owner for the Detroit Lions.
Yep, he's too loyal, and loyalty gets you so far. We were stuck with Matt Millen as GM for 10 years because William Clay Ford was super loyal. Loyalty only gets you so far, and eventually it's going to lead you to a path of ruin.
Yep, I agree. Now let's talk about the coaches that actually got fired. So, first off, let's go to the North. Let's start in Chicago, the Windy City. It must be balls to the wall cold there too. But good old Foxy boy is gone. Yep. I can't say I blame them, but I think they were going to be destined for the trash can, even with Mitch Trubisky, who shows some promise. But really, I don't know where he's going to go.
Right.
Oh, and
overall.
Oh, what, Bill?
No, overall, I was just gonna say is that really, if you look at the team that they have, what they will be looking for is an offensive-minded head coach to build Trubisky.
Yep. Revamp the wide receiving core, because you got the run game. You've got that fixed. You have a pretty good offensive line. It's not the best, but it's nothing to sneeze at. And address the secondary, and bam, this team could be in contention for what could be one of the better underrated divisions of football, because when Aaron Rodgers comes back, the Packers will win games again. The Vikings, if the Vikings don't fuck up their quarterback situation and get rid of the wrong quarterback, they're going to be good still. And Detroit, they can, but it depends who they get, of course.
I mean, we'll get to that later, but I mean, it's going to be a very interesting division. I think Green Bay's days of winning that division year after year are over.
They're going to get in trouble. I think they're going to get fined or something for what they did, how they didn't report Aaron Rodgers' injuries properly. Apparently, they want people to release him, which is a stupid thing.
According to rule, he is supposed to be released.
Oh boy. So
by rule. That's an NFL rule.
can he
They
come
knew
back to
that
that
going
team with a
in.
new contract, or does he have to not be on that team?
I think he is not allowed to re-sign with the
Oh
the
God.
team.
I swear to God, if he goes to Denver.
I mean, uh, we'll see if the NFL actually
They're
chooses
not going because it's the
to
Packers.
actually enforce their own rules
Bill, if that was
against.
the Lions, you know damn well they would have
Oh
done that and
yeah,
confiscated
if
all the
if
picks.
if they did that, if the Lions did that, Matthew Stafford would have been gone off the team immediately and be like, oh, now the Dallas Cowboys are now this team can go and bid to the highest bidder.
Oh, the Cowboys better not. They have Prescott.
I
But
mean,
anyway,
you know,
so next up, let's stay in the northern sections of that area and go to Indy. You know, the first official homophobic state or city.
oh
Anyway,
man.
so we have good old Chuck Pagano. This one's mine, Bill. This one's my target because this guy should have been fired 2 years ago. But he gave some speech to the owner, Jim Irsay, who is one of the stupidest owners in the NFL. I'll say that again. And I don't know
Man,
what
I'm
the
wrong.
speech was said exactly, but we do know some tidbits. It was basically you could basically equivalent it to any shonen anime speech made by the main characters. Like we must never give up, and always hope to or cling to our dreams so we can achieve our biggest goal in life ever, whatever that is.
Right.
But I don't know how he won him over, but I guess Jim Irsay's not that hard to impress. Because remember, Bill, how they just said, "Oh, what's that, Andrew Luck? Your shoulder's at risk. If we play you another game, you might actually have some long-term damage, not just for when you're done with the NFL, but while you're still in the NFL. Yeah, get in there, go play the New England Patriots and get sacked. Go play the Denver Broncos and get sacked 10 times. Who cares?" And now they're like, "No, we can't have him. We can't have him play another game. It could be the end." It's like it's your
Right.
fault he's in that situation, not you, not him.
Exactly.
So whoever they get, they got to get a coach that knows how to protect him. I don't know about the GM for Indy. He focused on defense, which is what they should have been doing for the past 2 or 3 years. So he may have a chance. I can't say he's a bad GM right now.
And I'll put it this way: what Indy will also be looking for is a offensive-minded head coach. In my opinion, you want to pair Andrew Luck with a guy that runs an offense and is a young quarterback guru.
We'll see how that works. So Bill, next up we have to go to. We gotta go. We're gonna stay in the north one more time. This one's all you, Bill. Even though we could wait for the Lions section, let's
Right.
just get it out of the way now.
Well, Jim Caldwell was fired by the Detroit Lions. To be fair, it wasn't really hard to see after the Cincinnati game. To be fair, he deserved to be fired for that Cincinnati game. He was an all right. He's a good person. I like him as a person. He's just too conservative as a coach. You need to be able to freaking have the guts to throw a challenge flag. And he never did it, and it cost us games. The team was never fired up. Now, with the Lions, I can see them going a defensive head coach, and I have a personal favorite in the race, and it's
You're
no
you're not the only one.
mystery who it is. It's no mystery who it is. Oh yeah, he's the favorite of practically a lot of teams. I think this is the biggest fit though, and with the personal relationship that Bob Quinn and another person in the Lions front office have that goes back 10 plus years. It's looking good, but it's Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots and rocket scientist.
Well, Bill, maybe he can help construct the perfect pass for Matt Stafford. I
Oh
was
man,
gonna say for me, I'd rather take Josh McDaniels. I think you need an offensive-minded coach right now for Stafford to
I
perfectly utilize his game.
well, what's going on is why they're going to look for a defensive coach. They want to keep Jim Bob Cooter as offensive coordinator,
I hope they
and
do, but I don't know.
just just in case one of the coordinators is out there, a former offensive coordinator that's a damn good offensive coordinator. Scott Linehan was fired, or no, he walked away. Scott Linehan walked away. When Linehan was the Lions offensive coordinator, Matthew Stafford threw for 5,000 yards. So, I mean, you could always bring back in Scott Linehan.
Oh yeah, guess what, Bill? I've got a bit of breaking news. Everyone's favorite offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh just got caught. Or no, there's footage about him. Something you don't see it. The cops have it, but of him having causing a disturbance in a bar and resulted to him getting shoved outside that bar. And of course, you know, Bill, the wheel of discipline, the consistent NFL wheel of discipline. It's like, no, you're a playoff team, so at best, we'll fine you, but we're not going to suspend him because we want someone other than New England to represent the AFC. So, yeah, it's the same shit as before. Same shit, different year. Just
Oh
like
yeah.
the last time these two that shit happened, and you knew it happened to Pittsburgh that time last year. Ha! Can't wait for
Right.
that though. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to point that out. A little bit of breaking news.
But overall, that's my take on the Lions
Now we got one
situation.
more. This was the first one. This one was so quick. It didn't even happen on Monday. It happened on Sunday. Jack Del Rio was despite going what 12-4 last year,
Yep.
he still
It's
got fired, and I'm not sure if it was the best one. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I feel like the team was far incomplete because the defense really got exposed. But oh well, I guess I like Jack Del Rio. I still like the GM though. If they ever fired him, I'd be upset considering how he practically saved their franchise.
And one note on that firing was that, according to reports, there was very little tears being shed, or general unhappiness that Jack Del Rio was fired. It was almost a joyous sense of
Which is funny
that he was
considering what
fired.
happened the year before.
I mean, to be fair, I think that Oakland, the Raiders organization is a dysfunctional organization led by a dysfunctional family. And I just hope for the players that they go into next year with a good sense of what they just got themselves into, because if the reports are true and who they're looking to get, uh,
John
if you
Gruden,
if you think Jack Del Rio was tough on you, meet a man named Chucky.
Chucky.
Yeah, that's what he was nicknamed as a head coach.
That's
Chucky, as
that's
in
what
the
they
horror
nicknamed
movie
John
doll.
Gruden.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, the only thing that will happen is that NFL or the Monday Night Football's commentary is going to go from okay to shit now because he was perhaps the only good voice on that thing.
Yeah.
Because once they took away, what's his name? The one he moved to
Mike
S.
Tirico.
Yeah, once you took him away, Monday Night Football lost its charm. But you still had the color commentator. Now you don't. Have
Yep.
fun with that. But anyway. So yeah, I don't know who they're gonna put in with him. Maybe John Gruden, but I don't know. I feel like they're gonna do it just because they want it to be flashy, but something tells me that's gonna bite him in the ass because to me there had to have been a reason why this guy was never in the NFL for so long.
God knows.
Yeah, in fact, I was gonna say, imagine if the Bucks fired their coach. I thought they were, but they didn't.
Nope.
I remember he said that he would love to coach for Jameis Winston, and imagine if that happened. Oh, that would have been a very good story for him to have to choose between the Raiders and the Bucks, who both want him in there. But I just don't want Derek Carr to be a bust.
I mean,
I don't like it. I don't want him to be a bust. It's bad.
I honestly don't believe he's a bust. I think their play calling was hampered. Amari Cooper is if we really want to go with busts, Amari Cooper has been the biggest bust they've had. They should have re-signed Latavius Murray. I'm sorry, Marshawn Lynch is old.
I'm glad he got his milestone, the 10,000 yards. At least he got that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I like Marshawn. I really like Marshawn Lynch, but he's old at running back as a running back, and if they never used him correctly. They never used him enough. And I just feel like, if you're gonna do that, keep the young guy, Latavius Murray. Look at what he's doing in Minnesota now.
Yeah. But anyway, it's going to be interesting what they're going to do in the draft, because they could either get a whole new running back to fix their shit or go focus on the defense again, which personally I would do. Get another cornerback. Hopefully you'll get someone who has at least half the talent of Charles Woodson, or ask for him to come out of retirement. That'll help.
I doubt that.
Anyway, Bill, how about now we have a retirement before we're done with Black Monday. This was very heartbreaking for Arizona fans. The only good thing was at least they beat those goddamn Seahawks in Seattle. However, to be fair, that was Drew Stanton's second best achievement that he did in the Clink. The first being that dance a couple of years ago. You know the dance, Bill. The celebration thing on the sideline.
Yes.
That was that. I love that. But that's probably the only things I like about Drew Stanton. Anyway,
well,
so
he's a Michigan State guy, so
I know he's good in your books, but in the NFL level, I just don't know if he's worth it.
Oh no, he's a backup career third stringer.
Yeah. Anyway, so what is now we had an actual double whammy retirement. So this is double the feels essentially for Arizona, because not only did Bruce Arians go, but also Carson Palmer. He's retiring with making after making $172 million in his whole career. Not bad.
And one other thing to keep in mind is with Arians gone, there's gonna be a new system
and a new quarterback to potentially go for.
And a new quarterback, Larry Fitzgerald might retire on them.
He might.
Well. So
I think he's gonna wait and see what they do.
That's something to keep your eyes on as well.
Yep. Although personally, Bill, you know who I want there. You know who I want. I want good old Kirk Cousins to ditch Washington and go to Arizona. And if it goes well, I will hop on that bandwagon faster than I hopped on the Rams this year. Because, Bill, I'm of the belief that Larry Fitzgerald deserves one goddamn ring. How could one of the best of his generation not have a ring?
I mean, Tim Brown never won a ring. And
I know, but Bill, does everyone need to suffer the fate of Tim Brown? Because guess who he played for? The Browns.
No, Tim Brown played for the Raiders.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. But I'm thinking of somebody else then. Never mind. So, Bill. But not everyone needs to suffer that same fate. I mean, Joe Thomas is one of the best left tackles of all time, but he's never winning a ring.
He's never winning a ring. He signed a long-term deal with Cleveland.
I think he knows of all the money he could leech off of the Cleveland organization, and I can't say I blame him. Because like I said, Bill, you're either in the NFL for money or for fame and greatness. Glory. Fame or glory. It's really hard to have both.
Me being a competitive person, I would want to win.
I want rings.
A championship.
I want to be on the Hall of Fame or even a Ring of Honor for my team. I'll take either or.
If you don't have a goals of being the best at what you do, then you're just not doing it right.
Yep. But Bill, what I was going to say for this retirement is that I feel even more upset that they had to fuck up in front of the Panthers, because the Panthers did not deserve a Super Bowl that year despite going 15-1, because guess what? Their character issues are finally seeping through the woodwork. Every year you're getting more and more of a taste of how they really are. With the whole with first Cam, it's funny to hear a girl talk about routes.
I mean,
and being a
Tom,
terrible, and being a terrible sport when he loses. I get upset, but
yeah. I mean, Thomas Davis with the cheap shot. I mean, it's the Cam Newton throwing the temper tantrum after he lost the
and of
Super
course the
Bowl.
owner.
The owner being a complete joke. I mean, it's over and over and over again. It started from the top and it peeped its way all the way through the bottom. The only cool guy, and I'm a big fan of his. I always wished I had him as a linebacker on my team. Luke Kuechly and Greg Olson. Those two guys. I feel bad for them because Greg Olson deserves way better, and so does Luke
You
Kuechly.
you know how I've told you, Bill, I've always wanted to make a video about, like, a long video, like an essay type video about the Patriots, how I call them the dynasty killers.
Right.
I had an idea if I made a video for the Arians era Cardinals, especially that one year where they did great. Like, was it 13-3 that year? That season had to have been one of my favorite seasons I ever watched from a team. I liked that team composition so goddamn much. I hope they get a good coach, and I hope they snag Kirk Cousins, but they have a good draft pick. I mean, no, wait, they don't. They went 8-8, which is impressive, too, for Bruce Arians, considering what little he had, but I don't know. I thought they actually were worse this year. I didn't realize they went 8-8, which is, huh. But yeah, I hope they can get Kirk Cousins. I mean, hell, Aaron Rodgers could go there because they might have to kick him out. But I don't think they will because Green Bay is a pure city that's incapable of wrongdoing. It's Titletown. It can't do wrong.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
Even though
they're
I
not.
wish it would.
They should.
It's never
Who knows?
going to
We'll
happen.
see. There's always a chance, but I doubt it. I'm just going in thinking, nah, it's not going to happen. But anyway, Bill, let's move on to the games. Oh yeah, and goodbye, Carson Palmer. You'll be missed too. You're pretty good those couple years. But anyway. Okay, so let's go into the games. We're not going to talk about most of them much.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a slight abridged version of what we usually do because of Black Monday and the playoff talks that need to be discussed. 'Cause we got to talk about the real teams, or some cases, quote unquote, real teams.
Right.
Anyway, so let's start in Philly, where I knew it. If you're a Philly fan, you're really worried because you couldn't do shit against the Cowboys. Give Dallas credit; their defense played well, and I think their best secondary piece is Anthony Brown. I think his name is. I know his last name is Brown. Got an interception. Played like an excellent corner. I don't think he'll be a number one corner. I think he looks good being the second guy. I still think they need to get one star-level, like star-studded cornerback in the draft if they can. We'll see, though. I don't know. It depends on if Jerry Jones is running it or the real GM, his son, is running the show that year.
Right.
We need another wide receiver because Dez Bryant is not playing at his level and he needs a challenge. I can hear the excuse coming out now about why they need more offense. But Jerry, your defense is in disarray. It's like, it's fine. As long as Ezekiel Elliott is running for over 100 yards, we'll always win games. Anyway, so Zeke was actually stuffed the first half. He didn't do much. I think he only got 28 yards, but after that, he started going off a little more and more on he was shaking off the rust, which also circulations of him partying while in Europe were coming out at that time, which I'm not surprised. I had hoped he went into a secluded area and trained like he was becoming a Jedi or something. But no, this was not Return of the Jedi. It's just Return of the party boy, is Ezekiel Elliott. But like I said, he fits right in with Dallas Cowboys culture. Just party and blame other people but yourself when you lose.
Yeah.
Typical sports stuff.
Right.
But anyway,
for this game, my biggest takeaway is that the Philadelphia Eagles are in massive trouble without Carson Wentz.
Their defense can't do they can't carry them. Their defense was the better thing.
Well,
I mean, It was very difficult for the Cowboys to get a touchdown. They were in the end zone, or not the end zone. They were in the red zone for a while, and yet they couldn't score. I mean, to be fair, that's because Dan Bailey, he fell so hard. It was like you saw Peyton Manning play his last great game and then just tanked. It was like when that moment hit Peyton, but for kickers. It looked bad. I worry about him now because it's been the constant debate on who's the greatest right now because we have two GOAT candidates for kickers now. That's very rare, obviously, for have two in the same era. You have him and my good old Longhorn friend Justin Tucker. Those two are head to head.
There's another one for greatest of all time, and I would say that he's far surpassed both of them.
What, the one that got the MVP award?
Indianapolis Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri, who only won 3 Super Bowls for the Patriots with his leg.
Yeah, Justin Tucker's won 1, I think.
Yep.
But hey,
I mean,
they can play for a long time, as you know. Just like Vinatieri, they can play for a long time.
Oh yeah, but if I'm going all time, my standard is always championships and what you've done for the game.
That's true.
And Vinatieri has kicked some iconic kicks in the history of football, including the snow game kick, the Super Bowl winning kick for the Patriots against the Rams.
Yeah.
Coming to mind.
All right, Bill. So now we had those two. Anyway, that my point was trying to be, there are those two in discussion right now for who's better for between them. And right now, it looks like Justin Tucker's running away with it. That's because his team choked and missed the playoffs.
Right.
Which I'll wait till we get to that point, but that's for later. Dan Bailey, I'm assuming that somewhere down this year, like in the off season, we're gonna hear reports that Dan Bailey was still hurt while that happened, but they needed a kicker because they were still in the playoff hunt. They were in the playoff hunt all the way until week 16. It's like, I don't care. You should have kept him on IR and got him out later. You could have gotten him out any time.
Right. Or that rule would have kicked back in if they needed to put him back on IR.
Yeah. I think you can keep him in a little longer, but I mean, I don't know why they did that. But whatever. It was a bad idea, and now I don't want to say they paid the price because they won the game. They were very fortunate that the Eagles couldn't do shit. Their constant fuck ups.
Right.
Which, as a Cowboys fan, you are happy that at the very least you could squeak out a win and stick it to Philly one last time for the season, which I'm glad for because I am glad that Philly has been exposed, that Nick Foles will not carry them to a Super Bowl looking like this. The good news for them is they have a bye and they get to ignore the cold this week because it's going to be on the East Coast. I don't think there are any more games on the East Coast, but oh my God, I don't even know if they would be playing.
Well, there also is going to be a nor'easter going up the East Coast this weekend, so
that's what I'm talking about. That's the storm I'm talking about, but it's not. I don't think any teams are playing on the East Coast.
Nope.
All the teams that could are on bye. The only team is Jacksonville, but that thing is hitting them tomorrow. It's gonna move pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm like, what is this? The cold opposite of a hurricane? It feels like I'm seeing a hurricane track when I hear the news about it.
Nor'easters are notorious. 60, 70 mile an hour winds going up the East Coast, blizzard-like conditions. Thunder, snow, etc.
I have to leave it to Mr. Bill to talk about the cold because I'm the one that talks about the heat. I bring the fire, he brings the ice.
Oh yeah, I got ice water running through my veins.
And I am boiling hot with the summer heat whenever it comes around.
Right.
But I'm glad it's gone, and I won't mind if it doesn't come back for a long while.
Right.
Anyway, so Bill, to finish up about the Cowboys game. I'm not sure how to feel. They did fire somebody, but it was only a wide receivers coach. Nothing big. No Garrett, because like I said, he kisses ass to Jerry Jones so hard. His nose is practically permanently colored brown now. But
right.
Dak played the best he could, but I'd still go into next year very cautiously optimistic. I need to see what they do in the draft. I need to see if they can actually steal anyone in free agency, which I don't think they can. Also, there are possible players that can retire, like Jason Witten. I don't think he will. He doesn't show any decline yet, but we'll see if he wants to. But anyway, there's not much else I want to say about the Cowboys. Dan Bailey was my real takeaway, which I'm worried. I would basically tell him, stop walking, stop doing anything, just lay in a bed for about a month, and then we'll see where you're at. You know what I mean? Protect the legs. And, I said, take it easy. Just protect your goddamn legs. Only walk when you need to.
Right.
Because his legs are more valuable than any other player in that organization right now at this rate. Because you lose your kicker. You go down from him to the linebacker kicker. Forget playoffs. You might not win those close games when they come around. When you need a 50-yard field goal for the win.
Oh, yeah.
That's when the kicker's value is at its peak, in those close games that are back and forth. Anyway, So let's move on to Houston. This was just complete and utter garbage to see. I don't have much to say about the game, so we're not going to talk about the game, save for one thing. The cool fight between Jonathan Joseph and T.Y. Hilton. I felt like I watched Andre Johnson against the Titans player.
Right.
I don't think they took off helmets, but they were punching to try to hit through the helmets, but both got ejected. They're both going to probably be suspended to start next year, which is a shame because they need Jonathan Joseph because he's the one that usually doesn't get the long injuries, unlike Kevin Johnson, who I'm declaring a bust already because he can't stay healthy. He has what I call the RG3 affliction, and there's really no known cure. The only thing I could guess is stay off the game for a whole year and completely restore your body, but considering he's in his rookie contract, he can't exactly afford to do that. But we'll see what happens. Either way, I was going to say, bad game, and that you shouldn't watch it. That was one of those stay the hell away from this game kinds of games this week. But
it was not a pleasant game to watch by any
it never was.
Stretch of the imagination.
It never was, and it never will be. So let's just talk about the future for this team now. Because this one did not have a firing, but somebody did leave. A major piece of the Texans puzzle. The GM, Rick Smith, is taking an extended leave of absence for probably at least a year because of his wife. His wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in September. Or no, was it September or October? One of those months. And I don't know how serious it is. He implied that it looks very serious. I don't know if it's fatal. It could be. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But he's going to be gone. He's not going to return as a GM. He said he's not going to be surprised if he can't be able to be GM if he does get a chance to come back. But the only reason that he's not fired is because he's still going to be the executive vice president. That spot's open for him. That's not a position that you really need for, major team decisions that often. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
A GM, however, is absolutely just as vital as a head coach is. Why do you think those two are always compared to each other when you talk about a team? Like when we have Bob Quinn and Jim Caldwell, for example, who had more of the power and who was a better leader? Most would say Bob Quinn. And I know you would agree with that, Bill.
I agree. I definitely 1,000% agree.
So I have one opinion on this. I hope that his wife is safe. I've never known anyone personally that was affected by breast cancer. I've lost people to cancer, but not that specific cancer. But that's why October has always been dedicated to breast cancer awareness.
Right.
Because it's one of the most common cancers that a woman gets.
Yep.
And I hope she's fine. I hope she doesn't. I hope it doesn't kill her. Which I know that sounds brutally blunt, but what else can I say? I don't want to see a family like that be torn apart because they do have kids. I think they have 2 or 3. I don't remember the exact number. Somewhere there.
Yep.
Anyway, this is an unexpected situation because everyone was saying they're gonna fire Bill O'Brien. That if one of them's gonna go, it's gonna be him. Rick Smith has been, even though they've made stupid decisions at quarterback. They've still got very good pieces with him. You've gotten J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney, and of course Deshaun Watson. But now it makes you wonder who's going to come in here. I would want to believe that this is, out of all these teams that may need a GM, there's not that many. This is actually a really good organization to go to. The only problem is that the only caveat that may make them not want to come is they may only be here for a year or two. 3
Right.
years at most. Because once Rick Smith comes back, they may very well just throw you under the bus and say, yeah, we like Rick Smith more, bye. I don't think
Yep.
they'll do that, but it's a possibility. It just depends on how they do. If they're a shit GM, they won't be there that long. As soon as Rick Smith comes back, it's like you're out the door.
Very possible.
I don't
Very
know who they're going to get. If the Browns didn't get the actual good GM in the market, which was the old Chiefs GM, I would have wanted to go for him, but I don't know who we can get. I don't know of any candidates, so that's why I'm just like very open, for lack of a better term.
Oh yeah. I mean, uh, you never know what the as time goes on, you never know where that situation's gonna go. So, I mean, you know, it's a sort of a wait and see type thing right now.
Yep. Um, but to the people who think that he's leaving only because he was gonna get fired, kindly go take that opinion and shove that up your ass, because do you really think someone would make up an excuse as much as cancer to get out of a job? So basically, you say, "Hi, I didn't get. How could I get fired if I quit?" They're not gonna
Right.
do that. He wouldn't do that. No one would do that. And if they really did, and he actually brought his wife to that press conference too. To do that with your family, that's just a whole level of fucked up. But he wouldn't do that. I wouldn't believe that man would do that. So last year I gave a lot of sports journos some praise for being at least the only ones that didn't really apply an agenda to everything they said, like a political agenda and all that, and weren't twisting stories to favor said agenda. But now it's a whole new year, a whole new slate, and what a good start for the year, Bill. YouTube's being shit right now, and then we have the sports world having to be shit for stuff like that. But anyway, let's move on to New England. Well, what else is new, Bill? There's not much to say. We're gonna talk probably more about them in the playoffs. So let's just quickly address this game. What is your takeaway? Because you know who mine is. Dion Lewis is amazing.
Dion Lewis is amazing. Tom Brady's sort of, finding his feet. Really, it's. I think this is the last hurrah with the current group of coaches. Uh, so this is their last hurrah to make a deep run with this current group of coaches, like defensive coordinator Patricia and offense coordinator McDaniels. I think they're both getting jobs in the NFL. I think McDaniels will be in Chicago.
Oh,
I
I hope
think
not.
I think Patricia will be in Detroit. Uh,
I hope that I want
obviously,
McDaniel's in Detroit. Actually, what if they both go? One is a head
I,
coach, the other one's
I
still a
doubt.
coordinator. They both go to
I,
Detroit.
I,
Wishful
if
thinking, I know, but that would be fun.
I, I honestly doubt it. But
Oh, come on, Bill. Don't
overall,
crush my fun.
overall, the defense played decently against the Jets. They kept them at bay, and
To be fair, I think the
they
Jets did it to themselves.
yeah. I
Without
mean,
McCown, they've been looking dead in the water.
Yeah, Bryce Petty is definitely not a starting quarterback material.
Let's not forget
Uh,
he couldn't put on his helmet.
yeah. Yeah, that was another thing. But overall, Tom Brady is still figuring everything out. He had the roughest section of his latter half of his career just recently, so that's what's happening.
And he's going to likely play some better defenses. What looks like to be an inevitable rematch with the Chiefs can come.
Yep.
So I'm gonna when that matchup happens, I'm gonna be very plugged in because that one, considering what the Chiefs did to them last time, I'm curious to see how much these teams have learned since that last game. It,
Oh yeah, definitely.
it'd be a much better
Definitely.
title game though, but it won't be because the Jags had to win 10 games. Or I mean, that's gonna be I'll just wait for we talk about the playoff shape. It did not go the way either of us expected. So yeah, not much else to say about New England for this game. Good job. You beat a bad Jets team and you secured the first spot. Good job. Let's move on to the better game of this week, the Lions, Bill. So how about those Lions? Despite getting the onside kick at the beginning of the game, when the Packers had to kick the ball off.
Really, the Lions game was really just it was a one-sided game. The entire game, the Lions offense put the pedal to the metal against the Green Bay defense. They couldn't cover any one of our receivers. I think three of our receivers had over 80 yards. Stafford was completing passes, and the best thing that happened the entire game is they were down so badly. Eventually, at the end of the game, the Lions attempted a trick play, which basically resulted in Matthew Stafford catching his first career pass for a 2-point conversion and then firing the football into the upper deck of the stands.
Ah, what beauty. Also, Bill, all the cheese graters. There was
Oh,
plenty of cheese to be grated that
oh,
day.
oh,
And as you're
yes.
seeing by now, I think, if I remember, a live look at the Packers season. Well, it's not live anymore, but yeah, I've been waiting over a year to use that picture again. Oh, it's so
Oh,
beautiful. It's so majestic. Now I'm just waiting for the
it's a
Vikings to fuck up just so I can use the other picture to match with that. But anyway,
um
um, Anyway, so yes, Bill, that trick play was amazing. But I'm just gonna talk about the players for a minute. Glover Quinn played like he knew, like it was his last game this year because he got robbed of a Pro Bowl spot. And I like the fumble he made, the punch it out of Brent Hundley. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna run with it. Yeah, so bye guys, and he punched it out. He didn't pick it up. I don't think he did, but that was very key because it denied the Packers another chance to score. And on offense, or no, wait, on no, staying on the defense, Ziggy Ansah, I think he got 3 sacks this game. Very, very good to see, Bill, because I needed more consistency out of him and Ebron, and I got both. Ebron had a jump, like a hurdling jump over a defender to get a first down. That was fun. You know you're a bad team when you have players like Ebron making you look like clowns, which
right.
and I like where Ebron's going, Bill. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know how much he's gonna be re-signed for, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna want him now. This is enough. This is enough for me as a GM to be convinced that there is something salvageable with him, and nothing would make me happier than to get a cheaper contract and he plays like a better tight end. Not like I doubt Gronk or Kelsey levels, obviously, but to play like a good tight end for a cheap contract, you would be like where I am with Whitney Merciless. I got a fucking bargain deal out of him, and he's one of the best but underrated pass rushers because he is not a Seattle Seahawks player. Because every Seahawks player is a Pro Bowler, apparently.
Right.
Because Legion of Boom, because it has a fancy nickname, everyone is instantly Pro Bowler to greatest of all time. I think Deshaun Watson had something to say about that time when he made Richard Sherman and everyone in that cornerback group look like clowns.
Oh man.
Anyway, Bill. So yeah, I like how they ended Marvin Jones as well. Him and Tate, I liked some of their catches. I feel like every week that because he's finally settled into that deep ball role, where every week I think he makes a deep 30+ yard catch. And of course, Bill,
Yep.
the steal of the draft, Kenny Galladay got a really good
Kenny
touchdown
G.
pass.
Kenny G. He plays the saxophone and he catches footballs, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, I want him to step up though. Next year, I want a bigger role. I need a bigger
Oh
role
yeah.
out of him because I would, if I were a fantasy player, I'd want to also get him for a good spot and be a
Oh
sneaky
yeah.
good third wide receiver for your team.
Very possible. Very
Yep.
possible.
But anyway, Bill, there's not much else to say. Good job for that game. They fired Caldwell,
Oh.
but maybe that's the kind of game you needed to get a good coach to want to get enticed enough to come
Ah.
in.
You know, it does my heart good. If I can't win the division, I'll take a second place. And the Green Bay Packers are below the Lions, below 500, and everyone in Packer land is freaking out. I'm in a good place right now.
Yeah, the only way it would have been better if Aaron Rodgers was there because, Bill, nothing would be a better win than to beat Aaron Rodgers and deny him playoff hopes.
I mean, with the turmoil and the
Oh, they
rules
fired
that
their
get broke,
GM too. I
it's-
forgot to mention. They're the other team that fired their GM. I knew I forgot one. So,
Yep.
he's gone. He gone.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, you have two. So, as a GM candidate, it's going to be interesting where they would rather go. You want to go with Aaron Rodgers, who the NFL might fuck over, or do you want to go with one of the better QBs in the making and Deshaun Watson? The choice is yours. Anyway, Bill, it's either the red pill or the green pill. That's
Oh,
what it's
man.
coming down to. The green pill tastes like cheese, and the red pill tastes like steak.
Oh man.
Anyway, Bill, let's talk some playoffs.
Playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
All right, Bill,
talking
we have the
about
divisions.
playoffs.
We have all the positions locked in. I'll go. I'll talk. I'll mention the AFC. I want you to have the NFC to yourself because the AFC looks one-sided, but I don't know. Of course, you have the Throne of Ease, number one. Then you have the Steelers, who thankfully did not give the Browns a win. Thankfully. Number three, you got the Jags at 10-6, who lost to the Titans, and that's important. Trust me. And then you have at four, the Chiefs at 10-6 as well. Why couldn't the Jags lose to another team, or the Chiefs won a game they shouldn't have lost, like that Giants or Cowboys game? One of those. You might have been the third seed, and the Jags would go to New England earlier. Now they can't. Anyway, so in the wild card spot, you have the Titans at the fifth seed. Somehow, because the Jags were fucking idiots. I guess they should have made that a primetime game. Anyway, and then in the sixth spot, in a bizarre twist, the Bills. Not the
The
Chargers, despite the Chargers kicking their ass and matching their record. No, according to Strength of Victory, because I thought that shouldn't come first. If they play each other, that should be the first factor. But I guess apparently the Bills are in, which here's how it happened. First, they needed to beat the Dolphins, and they did that. Next, they needed the Ravens to lose to the Bengals. And guess what the Bengals did, Bill? They went to Baltimore and said, "Hi, that's a nice playoff spot you got there. It would be a shame if you lost it like we did, and we
Yep.
were playoff relevant." And they did. Andy Dalton's possible last game could not have been a better game for Bengals fans, because not only did you stick it to the Ravens one last time, but you also denied them a playoff spot.
Right.
On one hand, I'm like, what, how, what the fuck is going on? But on the other, oh, fuck you, Baltimore. Fuck you, Baltimore. Just like that commercial.
Oh,
Just like
man.
that commercial. No Ravens in my playoffs this time. Not again. They went 9-7. That's so. They were not supposed to be my initial playoff team, Bill.
Right.
So it's good news for me that they didn't get in. Because yeah, they're perhaps the only sneaky team that can give the Patriots trouble, because they always give the Patriots trouble in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So Patriots fans are relieved, and also in other news, the Bills are going to send the Bengals wings at some point, which pretty good deal. Beat a team, rob them of a playoff spot, and you get free food. I'd love to
Hell
be like
yeah.
that. That's a good life to
Health,
live.
yeah.
Bill, I hope that if in the future, like say the Texans, if they ever have another year they don't make the playoffs, but they play a team that can get in at the end of the year, rob them of that spot. Lead
Right.
to their inevitable self-destruction. That would be fun. But anyway, Bill,
Oh yeah.
I don't know how this came to be. I feel like the Chargers should get in, so I'm very salty about this. I wanted the two fans that go to road games to be ecstatic. It's like, yes, we could go to the Chiefs Stadium again when it's super cold.
Oh man, those true two fans in Los Angeles that go out and see every game.
Yeah, because they couldn't
Yeah.
get a home spot because they lost to the Chiefs, but if they did, they would have been in the playoffs right now, and they would have had a whole 20 fans show up to their game. It's a shame. True shame.
Oh man.
Anyway, so the Bills are in, but they get to play the Jaguars, and the Titans got to go to KC. I know some Chiefs fans are like, this is going to be an easy one, but remember the last time they went there? You got Exotic smash mouthed in the face by a really clutch field goal, and I love the radio guy. He was like, "It's God, Titans win!" He was going insane. Like his
Oh,
voice
man.
cracked while he said "good."
Oh man.
But
Yep.
anyway, Bill, to me the AFC just looks like another potential easy path for the Patriots. It just depends. Will Blake Bortles fix his shit? He doesn't have a bye week. Can the Steelers fix their shit? Can they get Antonio Brown back in time? And will
I
the
mean,
Chiefs actually give them trouble like that first game? I don't know.
yeah. There's a lot of flawed teams in the AFC side.
Yep, even the Patriots aren't that far off from flaws. They're not perfect either, but to be honest, they're the
Yeah.
best team by a country mile among the non-bye week teams. So aside from Pittsburgh, the other teams are heavily flawed. But
Oh yeah. The first weekend has the most flawed AFC teams by far.
yeah, it was gonna be like that no matter what, because like I said, 9-7 was enough to get you in here, and the Ravens reached
Yeah.
that, but somehow fucked it all up. Nice job. But I'm
Oh
glad.
man.
Nothing makes me happier than to see that happen.
As they always say, 10 wins and you're in.
Yep. Well, that may
Uh,
not. That doesn't work in the NFC apparently this year. So, Bill, how about you explain how that one shaped up?
The NFC shaped up as such. The first seed was the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentzless Eagles clinched the number one seed. Pretty much really early in the season, so they were pretty much guaranteed that spot. They don't deserve it because the team that really deserves it is in the number two spot because without Wentz, they're definitely not a number one seed. Number two seed is the Minnesota Vikings. They are the most complete team probably in football right now.
Let's
They
not
have
forget,
everything
Bill,
going.
the Super Bowl's going to be in Minnesota, so they have
Correct.
the potential to be that first team to host the playoff game. But I feel like
I
every time that happens, they get cursed and get robbed. Just ask the Texans that. But to be fair, they cursed
right,
themselves by getting Osweiler.
right. The third seed is the Los Angeles Rams. With Jared Goff at the helm, they went from being one of the worst teams with Jeff Fisher to being one of the best teams with McVay. Just mysterious, right? The number four seed, the NFC South champions, the New Orleans Saints. They're the number four seed. They have Drew Brees. They have Kamara. They're a pretty dangerous team themselves.
Isn't
The
it
number
crazy,
five.
Bill? I wanted to interrupt you for a second. How all four of these conference teams are stacked. Like every team has a good chance of getting in the Super Bowl. They have a reasonable roster to actually go all the way.
Right.
Unlike the
I mean,
AFC, which half of them
yeah.
still have no business being here.
I mean, you could make the case going all the way down to 7,
Yeah.
8 in the NFC side.
Oh yeah.
The number 5 seed, the Carolina Panthers. They lost a pretty pathetic outing against the didn't they play Atlanta? Yeah. They played pretty pathetically against Atlanta, which allowed Atlanta to take the number 6 seed. Now, fun fact, and I'm going to bring this up again. If the Atlanta Falcons don't get that call, the Detroit Lions would be the number 6 seed and playing in LA right now. But we'll just throw that
I
out
am a
there.
Rams fan this week. Just put it that way.
Exactly. So basically that's how it shaped up, and the Falcons got in. The Seahawks took care of I think they
They
lost.
lost.
They lost to Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, remember they lost to the Cardinals, and which was at
so
least the last win for Bruce Arians, which I'm glad he got that win there.
So basically the Falcons were in either way. So we do have a defending NFC champion in the playoffs, but they are perhaps the most flawed of the. I would say actually the Carolina Panthers flawed team of all 6.
I'm gonna go Atlanta just because at one point they look good, but then they fucking choke everything away. Remember, Bill, this is the team that blew so many leads this year. They choked to the Dolphins of all teams. Remember that? I want to say they also choked a lead to what was it? I think they choked a lead to the Saint. No, it wasn't the Saint. No, they choked a lead to the Bills too. They lost to almost every AFC team this year. They only beat the Jets, which I would actually be laughing if they lost to the Jets.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go with the Falcons. I feel like the Panthers, they just dab on the haters. That's how they solve all their problems, Bill. As long as Cam Newton's happy, they're in the game. But the minute he's like, "Nah, we're done. I don't want to speak to the press speak at my press conference."
Yep, time to wine time.
Yep. Anyway, Bill, I mean, now with all that in mind, do you feel like there are any sneaky teams that could go far?
A sneaky team? Let's see.
I'm gonna go with the Rams still, but I mean that's because I'm on the Saints side. I feel like the Saints are gonna find a way to sneak it into the title game perhaps, but the Rams could also, if things keep going their way and Todd Gurley is running over everybody, they've got a chance.
I think a team that could get sneaky is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, it all depends on Bortles.
They've been playing so horribly the last couple weeks. You sort of forget that they have one of the best defenses in the league. I think they are a young team and young defensively, and they knew they were in, and they shut it down mentally. So they got to turn it back on. And if they turn it back on, and Leonard Fournette's right, and Blake Bortles has just a semi-decent game, they could be dangerous.
They could, but like I said, I really want them to go to the title game. I do want them to win, because I want them to go face New England and get crushed and learn just what happens when you don't have a good Super Bowl viable quarterback.
Their major, like you just said, their major issue and the flaw with that team is at the quarterback position and the wide receiver position.
Yep. They've lost a lot of wide receivers to injuries. They like to start and stop Leonard Fournette. They like, oh, I don't like him right now, so I'm going to bench him this week.
Yep.
So it depends. I think Blake Bortles will make or break that entire roster. Because Bill, sure, there were some great defenses this year, but they couldn't carry them. Just ask the Eagles, because right now they look just like the Jaguars.
I mean,
they have a sneaky good defense, and yet they still couldn't do anything because their offense was just dead.
I'll put it this way. I will still take a great defense over a great offense any day of the week.
I agree with you, but to me, I need a viable offense. I need a offense that can put up some points.
Right. I mean, Nick Foles is if he just has a game like he had a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, where he went 29 touchdowns and 2 picks, over his entire season, the Eagles could be very easily in the.
Yeah, but they didn't do well against really bad defenses who had nothing to play for, and that's why I'm just as concerned for them as is with the Jags.
I also think that the Eagles shut down for a little while as well.
Yeah.
Against
Well, the good news for them,
Dallas
unlike the
Cowboys.
Jags, is they have a bye week to fix their shit.
Oh yeah.
So, home field advantage is all they have left, and they cannot afford to let that come back to bite them. They can't lose that opportunity.
I mean, if we're gonna be brutally honest, the team with the biggest issue in the NFC side is, and that's just because they're missing Wentz. With Wentz there, they're Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah.
Easy.
They were, but not anymore, which is unfortunate for them. But anyway, Bill, I think that's all I've got for sneaky teams. I feel like I can make a case for the Vikings, the Saints, and the Rams. I've got the Saints as my team because I just trust Drew Brees, and I want a Drew Brees versus Tom Brady Super Bowl. Now, wouldn't that just be fun?
That'd be a high-scoring Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, and of course you still got some defensive talent like Malcolm Butler for the Patriots, who could have gone to the Saints, and Marshawn Lattimore, Defensive Rookie of the Year, hands down because of buttception.
Right.
Now I'm just waiting for the butt catch, and we've got the trifecta, the perfect trilogy.
You never know.
Yep. But anyway, Bill, are you ready for the playoff picks?
Oh man.
Well, Bill,
I am.
We tied for the regular picks. You got the Bills game correct, but I got the Cowboys game correct. So in the end, I only climbed back enough to tie the score, but that was it. But this is a whole new slate, not many games. Should be good, Bill. What do we got for to start us off?
Go. The Saturday ESPN game, the Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, but giving the Titans history with them, I won't be surprised if this is a little close.
I've got the Chiefs as well. I think Alex Smith is going to play really well. He's not audition for a new job somewhere in the playoffs, and money is a powerful motivating factor. Next up, the 8 o'clock game, the Atlanta Falcons at the Los Angeles Rams.
This game should also be pretty cold, but perhaps the warmest of all of them. Though technically the Saints should... No, it's the Saints game because they're in a dome. But the Rams game, I'm going to go with LA. I want to see Todd Gurley run over all of them and make Devontae Freeman look like a scrub, because Devontae Freeman keeps hyping his own machine. And you know me, Bill. As a player, you never hype yourself up because it just sets yourself up for defeat all the much more. And also, stop talking that you're the best running back on the field. You're about to see the best one in the NFC right now.
I also have the Rams. I like their offense a little bit more than what's going on in Atlanta right now. Atlanta's sort of a cobbled together mess, and I just like the Rams a little bit more. All right, the following day, the Sunday, January 7th games, the 1 o'clock game, the Buffalo Bills at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's going to be, got some hot games in the South, although that's only metaphorically. The Jaguars, I think, should win, but I would love to see Buffalo steal this from them. Nothing would make me ecstatic than to hear, than just to see all of this hype from the Jaguars go down, Saxonville. But I'm going to pick them anyway.
I've got Jacksonville as well. I think their defense is going to shut down Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
And LaShawn McCoy is going to be gimpy in that game.
Yeah, that's also a factor.
Next up, the last game, the Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints.
Gotta go with the home team on this one. I've been hyping the Saints. I'm gonna ride this train all the way until I fear otherwise not. I'm gonna go with the Saints. Crush the dabbing Panthers. They've got. I'm gonna wonder what Cam's gonna do if he loses this game.
This will be the closest game of the weekend. I've got the Saints as well. I think this will be a very close game. I think the Saints will win it at the end.
Yeah. All right, Bill. We don't need to worry about the other games because this is playoffs, so we're good.
Playoffs.
All right, Bill. We're going. Some of these games aren't real playoffs games like the Bills, Jags, but who knows? We might be wrong. I'm hoping the NFC games at least live up to be pretty good. I think the Saints-Panthers game should be, but we'll see.
The best of the bunch, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I just want the Rams to just murder the Falcons. Just show them that you never belonged here. You should have missed the playoffs like all the rest. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. We're now in playoff territory, but it's going to be fun, hopefully. We'll see you guys for the divisional round.